after they had fallen behind by 6 in the quarter. Then Sydney Colson, as Aliyah Boston has an extended conversation with the officials, and then is gonna get over to Angel Gray. Angel?
After review, we have no illegal conduct by Euro, so the call will stand as confirmed. This will be also, Indiana will lose their challenge as well as their timeout. 1 shot for Euro. Thank you.
That's stunning to me. I mean, Aliyah Boston, look at her. Lee puts her one hand down and then pins Boston down with her other arm.
I gotta say, Rebecca, I'm sure we'll get an explanation from Sue Blau at some point soon.
With 1.7 seconds left on the clock, Kelsey Mitchell's contested jumper clanged off the rim, and the Indiana Fever's playoff hopes took a devastating blow.
Mitchell trying to create with 5 to shoot. Mitchell through the lane, able to scoop it in, and it's a 1-point game. Indiana ball down 1.7 to go. Cunningham has to get it in. Mitchell in the corner, can hit, and Dallas hangs on. 81-80 the final as the Wings win a thriller in Indy.
To 6th place in the standings. But this wasn't just any loss. This was the culmination of a perfect storm that began weeks earlier when catastrophic injuries ripped apart their entire point guard rotation, leaving them scrambling to survive with a makeshift lineup that had no business being this competitive.
What's the reaction been from you guys, the players, the coaches, to losing Sid and Ari?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, just brokenhearted for them. They're two really good people that you hate to see this happen to. They've been an integral part of what we've been doing, and so hate it for them. Unfortunately, it's part of the deal, and we've got to roll with it. And we've got players in that locker room who believe in one another. Players in that locker room who are as competitive as all get out. We've got versatility, and it's going to have to be on full display. So I think now it's about playing to honor them. Right, and playing for them.
If you're enjoying this breakdown of how injuries can completely reshape a team's identity, smash that like button and subscribe for more in-depth WNBA analysis. We're just getting started.
It's never fun to lose. I thought we got a pretty good look out of it. But again, I think, we shouldn't have been in that position to begin with. The 17 turnovers got us there. We shouldn't have even been there. But I thought, Kelsey got a look at it. It's unfortunate, but yeah, on to the next.
The final possession exposed everything wrong with their current situation. No timeout called, no proper set play. Just desperation basketball from a team that had clawed back from 17 points down without their 3 best floor generals. Coach Stephanie White would later admit her tactical mistake, saying she should have used their final timeout earlier, but the damage was already done. The Wings grabbed the rebound. The clock expired, and the Fever were left wondering how they let a winnable game slip through their fingers when they needed it most. Just days before facing Dallas, the Fever's season took a brutal turn during their matchup with Phoenix. In one devastating sequence, they lost 2 crucial pieces of their backcourt rotation. Sydney Colson tore her left ACL, while Ari McDonald fractured a bone in her right foot. Both injuries were season-ending, wiping out 2 floor generals who were supposed to control pace and run their offensive sets. With Caitlin Clark already sidelined since July with a groin injury, Indiana suddenly found themselves without their top 3 point guards for the first time all season. No regular ball handlers, no one to break full court pressure, no one to run the system exactly as this roster was built to operate. The front office scrambled, signing veteran Odyssey Sims to a hardship contract, but she had barely a day to learn the playbook before being thrust into action. Sims played 13 minutes in her debut against Dallas, finishing scoreless with 2 assists and a turnover. She spent most of her time trying to figure out where teammates wanted the ball rather than playing instinctively. Her post-game comments revealed the challenge. Being excited for the opportunity while knowing prayers were needed for the injured players she was replacing. With their point guard depth chart completely destroyed, Indiana had one realistic option to handle the ball on nearly every possession. Shift Kelsey Mitchell, their most dangerous pure scorer, out of her natural lane and into the lead guard spot. This wasn't a gradual adjustment. Every inbound, every set, every defensive possession now ran through her. The coaching staff couldn't ease her into this role. Mitchell had to initiate possessions under constant pressure, while still carrying the expectation to be their primary scoring threat. Dallas knew exactly what was happening and designed their entire defensive strategy around making her life miserable. They sent traps in the backcourt, used quick doubles to drain her energy, and forced her to work for every single advance up the floor. Her stat line looked impressive on paper. 24 points on efficient shooting, including 4 three-pointers. But those numbers came with Mitchell starting nearly every possession in her hands against schemes specifically designed to wear her down. Every made shot was followed by another trip where she had to break pressure and still find the energy to score. In the fourth quarter, down double digits, she buried a deep three from several feet beyond the arc. Then motioned to her teammates to tighten up defensively. These were leadership plays, not just scoring bursts. While Mitchell carried the heaviest load, she wasn't battling alone. Other players stepped into expanded roles, making the kind of impact that doesn't always show up in traditional box scores. Sophie Cunningham was relentless, dropping 14 points on solid shooting while bringing her trademark edge. Every make came wrapped in competitive fire, diving for loose balls, jawing after contact, showing the kind of energy that swung momentum back in Indiana's favor. Chloe Bibby's contribution was small in minutes but massive in effect. Just 12 minutes on the court, but she hit all 3 of her shots from deep for 11 crucial points. One of those came during a Dallas push that threatened to stretch their lead into double figures in the fourth quarter. Her dagger 3 forced the Wings into a timeout they didn't want to burn, buying Indiana precious rest at the exact moment they were mounting their comeback. Natasha Howard anchored the paint with a 12-point, 12-rebound double-double and 3 blocks. She erased would-be layups and ended Dallas possessions before they could generate second chances. Her presence meant the Wings had to work harder for everything inside, giving Indiana the stability they desperately needed. Even Aliyah Boston, fighting through heavy contact on nearly every possession, contributed 14 points while battling in the post. Her willingness to absorb punishment kept Dallas from breaking free earlier in the second half. This wasn't one player going supernova. It was everyone doing exactly what the moment demanded. Indiana outscored Dallas 25-14 in the fourth quarter, earning themselves a legitimate shot to win despite their decimated roster. In those crucial final seconds, with Indiana trailing by 1 and 11.7 seconds left on the clock, the Fever secured a defensive rebound and had a choice to make: push the ball in transition or use their final timeout to set up a proper play. They chose to run. Mitchell ended up taking a contested jumper that missed, and Dallas grabbed the rebound. Coach Stephanie White stopped play with just 1.7 seconds remaining, far too late to draw up anything meaningful. Her post-game admission was rare for any coach. "I probably should have used it at the 3-second mark." That split-second hesitation was the kind of detail that can decide entire seasons. But White's post-game comments went far beyond tactical regrets. She delivered a scathing assessment of the officiating, that had frustrated her team all night. White accused the league of having a double standard when it came to how calls were made, specifically pointing to the treatment of her star players. Her blunt assessment: Kelsey Mitchell is held or chucked on every possession and never gets a call. Aliyah Boston is the worst officiated post player in the league. These weren't throwaway comments from a coach in the heat of the moment. White has been fined multiple times this season for criticizing WNBA officiating, showing this is an ongoing source of frustration for the organization. The officiating became as much a part of the story as the basketball itself, because there were concrete, high-impact moments that left the Fever fuming. One came in the fourth quarter when Aliyah Boston fought for position under the rim and the Dallas center clearly clamped her arm. Instead of calling a hold or foul on Dallas, officials whistled Boston for the infraction. The call stood after review, drawing surprise from broadcaster Rebecca Lobo, who said she expected it to be overturned. That wasn't an isolated incident. Sophie Cunningham was hit with a flagrant foul for a closeout on Paige Buchers after a review. This coming soon after Buchers herself had a similar play upgraded to a flagrant earlier in the game. To make matters worse, Mitchell later absorbed almost identical contact on a jump shot without any whistle at all. For Indiana, that inconsistency wasn't just frustrating. It altered possessions in ways that swung momentum. You could see the emotional toll stacking up in real time. Cunningham's boiling point came after being shoved by Buchers, immediately reacting with a clear expletive before walking away. That raw display ended with her apologizing post-game, but it was another visible signal that composure was fraying under the pressure of inconsistent calls. Even Caitlin Clark, sidelined with her groin injury, joined the silent protest by clapping forcefully in the direction of referee Amy Bonner after the final buzzer. During one tense late-game exchange between White and an official, Boston stepped in, visibly upset, before Clark put a hand on her coach to calm things down. Boston's post-game assessment was as loaded as it was brief. "We need better focus." It read two ways: part self-critique about their own execution, part reflection on a night where external chaos threw them off their rhythm. That dual meaning captured the impossible balance between acknowledging what they could control and calling out what they felt they could not. The stakes made everything worse. Dallas was a bottom three team this season, more concerned with draft positioning than playoff impact. Indiana needed this win to steady themselves in the standings. Instead, they slid to sixth place, tightening the postseason race with only a handful of games remaining. What should have been a confidence-building victory against a weaker opponent became another source of doubt about their ability to execute when it matters most. The loss exposed the fragility of their current situation. They've proven they can fight and claw their way back from massive deficits, even with a gutted roster. But late-game execution lapses and controversial officiating calls cost them a game they desperately needed. Every remaining matchup now carries added pressure, knowing that margin for error has essentially disappeared. This wasn't just another regular season loss. It was a window into everything the Fever have been fighting against all season long. The injuries that derailed their chemistry, the officiating inconsistencies that have frustrated their coach into multiple fines, and the pressure of trying to make the playoffs with a roster held together by determination rather than depth. Some voices have called for White's job after this loss, but that misses the bigger picture. She's navigated a team shredded by injuries while still keeping them in playoff contention. The players themselves have repeatedly praised the group's resilience and growth under her leadership. Whether this moment becomes a turning point or just another missed opportunity will depend on how they respond to adversity they never should have faced. Caitlin Clark is still rehabbing her groin injury and hasn't returned to practice, but the team expects her back within weeks. The question is whether that return comes soon enough to salvage what's left of their playoff positioning, or if the damage from nights like this proves too much to overcome. The Fever have shown they can compete with anyone when healthy, but they're running out of time to prove they can finish what they started. In a league where every possession matters and every call can shift momentum, they're fighting an uphill battle that goes far beyond just basketball.